Good morning. Today we're going to be learning about multi-step multiplication number stories. Today we're going to be focusing on planning a school fair. So here it says,
Planning a school fair. Ian and Sarita are planning the Quincy Elementary School Spring Fair. Ian gathered information about possible entertainers, while Sarita gathered information about possible food choices. They presented their information to the school principal in the tables below.
all right, so here's the tables below. I'll go ahead and let you guys take a look at those, and we're going to be using this information to fill in and answer our questions on the next screens, okay? So the first question is, the principal has several questions for Ian and Sarita about what they learned. Help them answer the principal's questions. Express solution strategies with single number models and answers with correct units. So, how much more would it cost to hire the tumblers than the singing group? So we're going to be thinking about that first chart, okay? So, we want to know how much more it would cost to hire the tumblers than the singing group. So we're going to be focusing on the tumblers and the singing group, okay? So the important thing we need to look at when we look at this chart, we're looking at the tumblers and the singing group, okay? So the singing group, there's 4 performers, and they're going to be entertaining for 3 hours, and it costs $16 an hour per performer. So you have to pay each of the singing groups $16 an hour. Okay, and so the tumblers, there's going to be 8 performers for 3 hours of entertainment for $22 an hour, okay? So, let's go back. Let's do our number model with the unknown. So, it's going to be more to have the tumblers. So let's fill in the information that we know here. So the tumblers, there's 8 performers, and they're going to need to provide 3 hours of entertainment. So I'm going to multiply times 3. And then it's going to cost the performers $22 an hour. So then we're going to have to multiply that times 22. Okay? And they want to know how much more the tumblers cost. So I know that it's going to be a subtraction problem. Okay? And now for the singing group, I have 4 performers, and they're going to be entertaining for 3 hours, and it's going to cost me $16 an hour. Okay? Now let's do a good estimate. So, when I do this, I'm gonna round each of these. So I'm going to make, for my first estimate, I'm going to round my 8 to 10, because that's what it's closest to. I'm going to round my 3 to a 5, okay? And then I'm going to round my 22 to 20, okay? So there's my first set. And then I'm going to round that 4. I'm going to round that to a 5 because it's pretty close to 5. And I'm going to round that 3 to a 5 again, too. And then I'm going to round that 16. I'm going to round it to 15 because it's pretty close. So when I'm estimating, I like to make my numbers end with 10s or maybe 5s or 0s. so that I can easily multiply what I'm doing, okay? So now I want you guys to figure out what those might be when we multiply them. So 10 times 5 would be 50, and then if we multiply 50 times 20, 50 times 20, get about 1,000. Okay, about 1,000. I'm still going to subtract it. Okay. Now I'm going to do 5 times 5 equals 30. And I'm going to multiply it times 15. Get about 450. Okay. And then if I take 1,000 minus 1,000 minus 450, I get about 550. Okay. So, okay. Now let's actually do our work. So, for the first part, I'm going to come down here to do my work. So I have 8 times 3 times 22 minus 4 times 3 times 16. Okay. So let's figure out what we do now. So I know in my head that 8 times 3 is what? It'd be 24, because that's a fact, and I know my facts. So that's 24. And if I come over here, I also know that 4 times 3 equals 12, because, like I said before, I know my facts. Now, we can kind of set these up in our lattice boxes to help us multiply. Okay? So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to take 24 times 22. Okay. I'm going to draw my lattice box. Sorry if it's not neat. Okay. So I'm going to take 4 times 2, and that equals 8. 0. I'm going to take 4 times 2 again. 0, 8. I'm going to take 2 times 2. That equals 4. So I'm going to put 0, 4. Then I'm going to take 2 times 2 again. And I'm going to get 4. Okay. So I put my 8 down here. What's 8 plus 4? It'd be 12. So I put my 2 here and I carry my 1. What's 1 plus 4? 5. Okay. So my first number that I'm going to get is 528. Okay. Now let's do our second lattice box. Okay. Draw it. My numbers are, my numbers are 12 and 16. Okay. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 6 is 6. Right? Now I'm going to add these up again. So I have nothing here, so I'm just going to put a 2. 2 plus 1 equals 3, plus 6 equals 9. And then 0 plus 1 plus 0 is 1, and then I have a 0 up here. So I'm taking 528 minus 190. Oops. I drew that wrong. So I have 192. 528 minus 192. So I'm going to do that over here in my space. 528 minus 192. Okay. 2 minus 8 equals 6. I can't borrow over here. So I'll make that a 4. 12 minus 9 is 3. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So here's my answer, 336. So I'm going to come up here and write my answer with the unit. It's going to cost $336 more dollars to hire the tumblers than the singing group. Okay? And so that's how we're going to go through and solve these problems.